Hey there, eighth graders. Today we are working on session 9 of our social issues book club. I know you guys are loving these books, so just make sure that you keep reading. And then if you finish yours, because I know a lot of us are there, touch base with me. I can get you a list of a bunch of different book club titles or social issue titles, and I can help you find something else that you're going to love. So, today was session 9. We're going to continue our work with groups. Yesterday we talked about finding a group that a character is a part of and then how that group might cause issues for that character. So today what we're going to talk about is how, if you're a part of a group, and how power imbalances might cause some of that struggle as well. Okay. So, when we think of issues that a group of people are going to face, we need to ask ourselves, how is this going to be connected to a power imbalance between this group and another group? And what are the effects of the power imbalance? So, first of all, we talked about power. Power is someone having more ability, I guess, or more control over another. Power is having advantages over somebody else, okay? And an imbalance is when I'm trying to do that. There we go. An imbalance is when one group has more than another. So it's not even. If it was even, it would be a power balance. But it is an imbalance. So that means that one group has more control, more power, more influence than another. Okay. So we're going to go back to the story from yesterday, and we're going to think about Francisco. And he is a part of the Spanish speaking community at home. But when he goes to school, he's in the English speaking community, right? So he's fine at home. You can tell he's worried about school because he's talking to his brother about it, but you can tell he looks up to dad. You can tell that he really enjoys his time with his family. And then when he gets to school, he kind of loses that comfort because he loses his ability to communicate, right? So, he is part of the Spanish speaking group is what we talked about yesterday, right? So what we're going to do is look at the scene from yesterday, okay? And we're going to read this again and then kind of talk about how there is a power imbalance, okay? Miss Scalapino started speaking to the class, and I did not understand a word she was saying. The more she spoke, the more anxious I became. By the end of the day, I was very tired of hearing Miss Scalapino talk because the sounds made no sense to me. I thought that perhaps by paying close attention, I would begin to understand, but I did not. I only got a headache, and that night, when I went to bed, I heard her voice in my head. So if you think about it, because of their groups that they're in, who has more power? It's going to be Miss Scalapino, right? He doesn't feel like he knows what's going on, so she has more control or more power in this situation, right? And it kind of stinks that, even later in the story when him and Arthur were having conversations, and she yelled at them and was like, no, 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 right? So there is definitely a power here because he feels like he has no idea what's going on in school. In fact, because he is so less powered, I guess, he gets a headache because of all the confusion, right? So there's definitely a power imbalance here. Now, short-term effect, long-term effect. This is a big deal. So a short-term effect is something that's going to happen pretty quickly within the next, year or so. Long-term effect is lifetime, right? So short-term effect of this power imbalance might be his headaches, might be that he feels left out at school during this grade level, right? Long-term effect, he might feel like he has to change who he is to adapt to the English-speaking community. Long-term effect, he may kind of lose his sense of identity because he's trying to change himself to reach that level of power. Maybe he would long-term effect drop out of school and miss out on an education. And that's not fair, right? So there's short-term effects are things that are happening, pretty quickly. Long-term effects are long-term. So in his life, what are things that could happen? And again, you're making an inference. It can have some wiggle room, right? But there are definitely going to be some effects on this power imbalance on the characters. Okay, so what we're going to do is, in your notes from yesterday, we had you add these two, the yellow one, the pinkish one, and then this green one. What we're going to do now is I want you to add this one here. So go ahead, pause the video and add this to your chart from yesterday. We want you, so being a reader, while we're looking at issues related to groups, a couple things that you're going to do. Yesterday we looked at, okay, first of all, figure out what groups they belong to. Then we looked at, okay, when the issues come up, are those issues connected to the group that he or she belongs to? So the issues that Francisco is interacting with, those issues are because of his Spanish-speaking group, right? And then this last one is what we did today, analyzing power imbalances between groups and their effects, okay? So looking at the power imbalances of, does this group have more power than this group, and how does that affect long-term, short-term, and then be willing to expect this to shift in different settings. Like if we had the Spanish-speaking group and the English-speaking group go to be with Francisco's family, things would shift a little bit because Francisco's family does speak Spanish, so he would have more power with his family, right? So pause the video, make sure you add that to your chart, okay? Now, in class, we're going to do this with a partner. If you're not with us today, that's okay. Here's your assignment, though, because this is going to be graded. What we're going to do is we want you to look at your main character, one of the main characters in your book, and think about a group that character belongs to, okay? Then think back to a specific scene or chunk of the text to when your character was struggling, probably due to a power imbalance, right? First of all, talk about the power imbalance, and then talk about the effects that the power imbalance had or will have on this character, okay, and thinking about long-term, short-term effects. So in class, we're giving you a paper version of this, but if you're online, I'm sharing this to you, and you'll just make a copy of it and email it to me, okay? So here's where you're going to look at the character and the scene that you're thinking of. Okay, so something in your book, whether it be something violent, whether it be something intense, whether it be a turning point, whether it be some kind of trouble that your character gets into, whatever it is, look at the character and the specific scene that you are thinking of, okay? Tell me what group your character belongs to and how, like, make sure that you pick a group that's going, because remember, we all belong to many groups. Look at the specific group that's going to help us understand the power imbalance, okay? And then describe the power imbalance. Why does this character have less power than others? Okay, what group power has more power over this character? And then the last thing we're going to have you do is look at the short-term effects and then the long-term effects. So what is happening right now that's going to be affecting the character, and then what could happen later that could affect that character? Okay? And that's what we're going to do today. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But as soon as you are done with this, feel free to keep reading. And like I said, if you are finishing up your book, shoot me an email and I will be glad to help you pick another one, whether it be the same type of book or another one that everybody's just loving. I will be glad to share a PDF with you or get you a physical copy. So, all right, have a great day.